Good morning.
Good
Sorry
morning,
for the
John.
pause.
Good
How's
morning.
everyone doing this morning?
Great.
All
Good.
right.
Good.
I'm glad we have a good amount of people joining us today. Has anyone gone through the entire LMS? No.
John,
Has anyone not seen it
me,
at all?
not at all.
Okay.
I've never received the email.
Chuck, did you get my email? That won't come from me. It's going to come from um, probably TJ Tyson, and I'll have her resend it to you,
Yeah, well,
and
yeah,
that
that'd
way
be
you'll
great.
just get it again.
That'd be
Okay.
great.
Yeah, it's oh my goodness, it is tremendous. So good morning. Thank you for joining me this Saturday morning. Good morning, Meg, Kristen, Brad. How are you doing? Tammy, Will, Rommel. Um, I really this consortium was really important because of the LMS, and I wanted to express and get across to everybody the requirements and expectations set forth in the LMS. It really isn't that cumbersome. Anyone that has received that training PowerPoint, trust me, that was a lot. This is really broken down. I believe it gives a lot more information, practical information that you can use in your interactions with your mentees. And it also puts in there a couple of things like the mentor report. The mentor report is going to be very important. It's going to be important for you. It's going to be important for me. It's going to be important for the mentees and the culture of being a TRP life mentor. That mentor report has 4 questions on it. It's really simple. 2 of the questions you can just click. Yes, I was in contact with my mentee this week, or no, I wasn't. And then, yes, they were in contact with me, or no, they weren't. And then it leaves a space for you if you have any issues, any pending issues that you need to get across to me. Of course, if there are any really serious emergency issues, you can always call me and we can deal with that. I've had quite a few calls from mentors dealing with situations in the last few weeks. Um, but that is a space for you to let everyone know. In this consortium, I want to let you guys get out. Anybody that's read into it, any questions, any comments, any feedback on it thus far. I also want to go through the first part with you, as I feel it's very important that we go through this all together. And as you go through the LMS, please, if there are any things that you look at and you say, I'd like to know more about that, or this can be added, or this may be something that you don't think is right, please let me know. I've gotten positive feedback thus far, and I passed that to the team. They absolutely love the feedback. They want to know what everyone is thinking about the LMS that's put forth. We want to know, is it being helpful, right? Is it being practical for you? So please give us the feedback, good or bad. The beginning of the LMS goes through the history of TRP. For those that don't know the history of Tim Owens and Dwight Tuttinson, um, it I feel it's important that we know how TRP started, because for me, it gives me added incentive and added kick to do the work that I do for TRP, because when you understand the pure beginnings of how TRP started, and it wasn't something that was just put together because a grant came, or because somebody saw something interesting where they could make some money in a market, but rather through just a genuine want to help people, right? Um, and that's what we're looking for also in our mentors. Um, and beyond our history, it goes into our mission um, and our vision for TRP to redeem the imprisoned, and to have that for a vision for yourself as a mentor really puts into perspective what it is that we do. It goes through the three parts of TRP: educate, um, advocate, or mentor and employ. Those are the three things that we're looking to utilize with our mentees in order to bring them to a certain level of self-efficacy. Um, we are a part of that advocate part, that is the glue to TRP. We are those on the front line with our guys when they're still incarcerated, and then when they come home, that support system that can catch um, a lot of issues beforehand, before a staff member of TRP can catch it. As somebody that has, I'm, the mentorship director, but I also have 6 mentees myself. So I understand the different issues, that we deal with uh, when we're interacting with our mentees. And so also in that LMS, it goes through, psychological profiles and reactions that we may get from our mentees, and ways to deal with those situations, right? Because uh, it may be something that we're volunteering to do, but it's an emotional connection, right? And so the last thing that we want here at TRP is to build a connection for you that's not going to be positive, because you're coming into this for a positive interaction. And so we want to give you as many resources as possible to make that interaction positive. Um, we also go through the the ethics model on how to interact. Now, this model, it comes from probation, a law enforcement perspective, but it's very effective, right? Especially because we want it's not only about building a connection to satisfy our human need for connection. It's also building a connection to be effective and helping somebody get to that a certain level, right? Making that transition from being in prison to coming home. And with that, it does take a certain skill when we have when we're asking certain questions. Some of us, we just naturally can do that, and that's fine. But going through the LMS, I myself, I've run mentor programs. I've been a mentor for about 20 years, and I got a lot out of it. And so I would hope that we would all, delve deep dive into it, and we can get a lot out of this LMS, other than just how to interact with our mentors and our mentees. Um, and I want to leave space right now for anyone that has any questions about anything that they've gone through, anything that I've said, or also anything that you are going through with your mentees, if you have one. No one? Anyone?
John,
Feel
did you have a
Jeff?
chance? Here, let me get the camera on.
Hmm.
Did you have a chance to check to see what the deal was with, oh
David Hay?
gosh, David Hay?
Yeah, so that coming, I don't know why that would have come back. Um, I'll uh, I'll ask Tom to see if something's going on at that prison.
because it was returned unopened. And the BOP always puts that label on to
Right.
tell you why
That
it was
it's
returned.
right.
But the Postal Service put the yellow return address label over top of the explanation. So I can't see it.
Okay. Okay. We'll get that. We'll get that taken care of to see what's going on there. I wouldn't understand why.
And it
Uh,
was returned unopened. So
mhm.
I don't think you know, there's nothing content related because they
Right.
obviously didn't see any content.
It was right. Well, it must be something with him or mail. It might be a sanction. Um, Either way, Tom should be able to figure that out.
I was gonna say if you guys could check with the BOP and see what's
Mhm.
going on there, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
We could also have
Otherwise,
Steve.
I'm doing great with my guys.
Okay. Brad?
Don, I was going to say we could have Stephen Fitch, who does the monthly fellows meetings, check in with David
Uh,
too, and see if it's got any insight. He was a classmate of mine at Sandstone, and just a wonderful, wonderful person. And so
yeah, because I know he was waiting for it returned, and we also want to let him know what that deal is.
mhm. Yeah, so I would just include
Do you,
Stephen Fitch in the discussion.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll call him today.
Thanks, Brad.
Rommel,
Appreciate it.
thanks, brother. Rommel.
Hey, John, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hey, just apologies, I'm not
Good
on
morning.
video. I'm actually in the car
Not
on
a
the way
problem.
up to Rush City to see one of my guys. But
Mm.
just a couple of things on the training we received. First of all, thank you very much. I mean, you know, some of us have been asking for something like this, and the content is really good. At the risk of sounding um, anything other than that, I mean, it is a lot of information, particularly that second half or the last, like that section 5. I'm almost done, but
Hmm.
I'm certainly going to use it as a resource, like every week or time I'm going to see one of my guys, because that's really got the section after like each, like for instance, in the virtues actual class section, and that part about, okay, now here's how to use this, with your mentee, or here's how you can use it, with your mentee. Ask about this. Ask this way. I think that's the really good, I think, takeaways from the training.
Hmm.
I mean, there's so much content in it that I think maybe in the future, maybe piecemealing it, assigning it instead of in one fell swoop, maybe assigning it in sections might make it more, might retain a bit more and stuff. Because I'll definitely be going back to it time and again just to get the information again, just to make sure I've got it
Hello, you
right. But
still
also,
there, Rommel?
yeah, I am. I might have hit I don't know what, but like I said, I'm in the car.
Okay.
But I'll go on mute and listen. Thanks, John.
Oh no, that's awesome. We're actually looking to break those down into individual trainings we'll be giving you during these consortiums, and also we'll be putting out um, during the month along next to where we have the consortium recordings. And so all on that one site, you'll have the LMS, you'll have the consortium recordings, and you'll have trainings, individualized training surrounding those pieces of the LMS. We just wanted to get it out. We wanted to get it all out to you so that you could have a resource. There was a lot of ask for that. And I definitely want to put out Tish, Torsha, and Tom Pippett, and especially TJ Tyson, who who developed that whole LMS and put it together and took all of our information and lined it up in the way that it is. And anyone that has Ramo, please, if you wouldn't mind, put together an email about it so that I could send to them. Um, because I believe they did such a wonderful job. I had some input, but the way that it was put together, a lot of that was Tish and TJ, Dwight, and Tom. So I definitely want to give them the kudos. Anyone else with any questions on the LMS itself, um, or anything that you're going through with your mentors?
Hey, John, really brief question. Is there
Will,
a
yes.
due date? Is there a due date that we are expected to have the LMS training done?
Um, we would like it to be done within the first month. We actually were in discussion about it, and we were just like, listen, put it out, and we'll come up with something. But we would like for people to go through it as soon as possible. What I do, I can see um, and track who has gone on and how much you've actually seen. And so we're more than just setting a deadline. If anyone is not after the first week, if anyone has not, I'll just be contacting you individually. Um, we don't want it to be a big class. Hey, you're not. But we want it to get done, so we want to push everyone individually. I'm glad that the people that have gone on, we've gotten a great response from them, and hopefully that encourages everyone else to go on as well. As was stated in the previous emails, though, and at the last consortium as well, anyone uh, that doesn't complete it, we need for you to complete it, or we can't go on as TRP Life mentors. It's as Ramos said, there's a lot of content in there, but it's not a lot to go through it, right? And if you haven't seen it, when you go on it, I really from the first test version of it that we had to review until now, I've gotten a lot out of it. I'm on there at least every other day, but usually once a day I'm on it going through certain pieces of it. Um, you guys probably won't be nerds like me, but it's a very good training. I hate to just call it a training because there's so much involved in it. It's so robust. Um, but to directly answer that question, Will, we don't have a specific drop dead hard deadline on that yet.
Okay, I will get it done as soon as I can.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, John.
Absolutely, Chuck. And it's a her. TJ Tyson, she. You muted.
Hey, John, you want us to use those mentor reports though right away, right?
Yes, please. Those mentor reports, please, as soon as possible. Some have already started using them. If you are currently in contact with a mentor, please start using those reports as soon as possible. Also, just to add on, other than, really filling this program and filling the void specifically in this mentor program. Um, these reports and you all going through the LMS, it also puts us in compliance with what we're looking to do within our contracts moving forward. And so this is also directly connected to our funding for the future, right? Um, we are looking to put this program together in a way that it's recognized by the DOC and the BOP in a certain light to allow us to work with certain individuals within the DOC and BOP. So it is a vital thing that we're doing for the organization by going through this LMS as well.
Just to add to that, John, I have
Mhm.
saved all of the correspondence with my mentees. So if that's ever needed for any reason, I have
Mhm.
that and can provide it.
It it's not so much that this will just keep us more efficient, especially for myself and for mentors, right? Uh, it allows me to see, if there are any inconsistencies on the mentor side or the mentee side, and so that we have that constant communication, because we also have our teachers who go in and see these guys when they're inside. And so any inconsistency with a mentor or a mentee that's being reported on my side, I can be aware. I can be in the know so that if anyone comes to me and says, hey, uh, my guy says their mentor isn't in contact with them, I can just look right at the mentor report and say, hey, no, I've got a report that they've been in contact every week. So what do we have? And we can all be in alignment, right? It can just get rid of miscommunications.
Sure.
John, this might be easily explained once I just take the LMS stuff, but are the mentor reports something that are explained in the LMS?
Okay, they're explained in there, and there's also the link to them. And
Great.
so
Okay.
it's right in that first section. It explains the mentor report and gives you a link directly to it.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bueller? um, I also want to recognize those that came out to the celebration. If you were able to make it, you could see we had a great time. You could see the effect you have on our fellows, and it was just a great time, had by all. Uh, Also, anybody, please email me. We are starting. Well, I'm putting together a fathers group for our fellows, um, which will include just in the beginning a group text chat, email chain, and we'll start to set up some virtual class, some virtual space for it. Our mentees have been asking for it, and a lot were receptive in hearing that it would be started. So anyone that wants to be a part of that, I absolutely could use as much paternal information and input as possible, um, and also maternal information and input as possible, because we have guys that are coming home who haven't had relationships with their children, who have been separated, some to a further extent than others, and there's a lot of anxiety surrounding that. right? And so we want to build another support for guys, especially in that realm. I know the anxiety of being a parent, being a father, um, just being there. So being removed and coming back, um, I want to build a better support for guys for that, because I know uh, once you mitigate that anxiety, it alleviates a lot of pressure for you. So please, anyone, email me and let me know if you'd like to be a part of the foundation of that.
And John, this is Meg. Are
Mhm.
you hoping to one day do that for the women as well, for a mother's group, or?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And with that, um, because we have a cohort starting really soon, in Wasika, with that in mind, I will need a lot more input from the ladies. Um, I my girlfriend helps me with a lot of things surrounding the female. She's been a DV counselor and she's been involved with advocating for women for years. But I would need as much input on that side as possible,
Okay.
just so that we can offer that for the females.
Is there, I just am curious if there's any kind of a statistic nationwide, how many mothers are incarcerated versus how many fathers are incarcerated.
Mm,
It might be equal, but women tend to be more involved, so the separation, I think, is, I'm generalizing, obviously, but the separation may feel even more more acute. But
in probably more instances, but you have it on both sides.
yeah,
That anxiety, and we absolutely need to fulfill that for the ladies. Kristen and Ronald, did you still have your hand up?
Excuse me, John.
Mhm.
I think the challenge with women, I think you bring up a really good point. Meg, I think it was you talking. So my sister-in-law was in prison. She was in Shakopee. And of course, they didn't send her until her child was born. So immediately after my niece was born, then they took her.
Mm,
And so, for women, and I'm not saying that this isn't the way for men, but for women, it's can be immediately they give birth and then they're taken away to prison. So
mm.
it's like having your child ripped out of your arms and then peace out, bye. So I think that that's a that's also a different dynamic, and I'm sorry, I had missed part of the conversation, I had to step away for a minute, but I think
Mhm.
that's something that needs to be addressed too, because that's just I can't even imagine as a woman and as a mother that
Mhm.
that would happen. And then in some cases, so in our case or in my sister-in-law's case, there were discussions on, well, do we give the child up for adoption? Do we
Right.
keep that child? And in this case, my mother-in-law raised both kids, but that also causes other family or other childhood trauma because now you've got like a 60, 65-year-old raising these kids. That's
Mhm.
a whole nother story on its own.
And yeah, there are a lot of secondary and tertiary effects when it's a female being incarcerated, when it's a mother being incarcerated, versus a father. And those are the things that would have to be uh, within that structure, and that's the help we would need to put that into place. But you bring up a great point, Meg and Kristen. I'd like to start working on that as soon as possible.
I can't even imagine the effects of never really getting to bond with that child. My goodness.
Yeah, me either. It's beyond, there's a lot of things that are beyond me, thinking about a lot of that. It's just, it's crazy.
And with that, those are some of the things also. I'm really glad you brought that point up, because those are some of the things that uh, need to be added into um, not only the our manual, but also the Virtues for Success train program that the women go through within the prison. There needs to be support surrounding that in there, and so I'm gonna bring that up with uh, TJ and Dwight and see if that is in there, if anything. If not, they may benefit from a conversation with you all about that, because those are some really interesting points that I feel should absolutely be a part of the program.
My mentee that's in with Sika right now,
Hmm.
I mean, the highlight of her day, so her daughter, it lives in a separate place from her boys, and
Hmm.
she talks to her daughter more than her boys. That's a whole different story. But the highlight is being able to talk to her boys because she rarely gets to talk to them. I mean, I just can't
Mm.
imagine that. I have the freedom to talk to my children and my grandchildren when I want.
Hmm.
But, just being able to touch base and talk to them and see what they're learning and see what they're doing and growing and this and that. I mean, that's a big deal for her. That's a huge
Hmm.
deal for her, and to maintain that connection so that when she gets out in 9 months, that they won't be complete strangers to her.
Hmm.
Or she
Hmm.
won't be a complete stranger to them, sorry, I really meant that the other way around.
Right. In both ways, and also helping to deal with the mitigation of the guilt and those feelings, because because you hear a lot, and that's one thing that I work with the guys with. You hear a lot, I just want to get this time back, and I want to. Well, that's not possible. We have to move forward from the spot that we're at, and we have to look at what we're going to do from this point, right? Um, and that it's not only something psychologically that you have to do if you're incarcerated and away from your children. Anyone that has children, as you're raising children, you go through periods where you feel like, oh man, I should have did this, or I should have did that, or I shouldn't have did this, and you beat yourself up over it all the time. And there are points you have to get to where you have to release that, say, listen, I'm doing the best that I can. There is no manual to this. I'm 100% invested in the best interest of my child. And you move forward from that point, right? Getting caught up in guilt and all of that just has you overcompensating for things that don't need to be overcompensated for as a parent, right? And so, really instilling those things to build an equitable relationship again with their child is the important thing, right? Especially coming from a situation like that. Because yeah, Kristen, I all the time I have I still have a 10-year-old left to left to raise 10, 14, 17, 21, and 24 are my children's ages. And all of the time and I've worked with thousands and thousands of kids. And even with that, there's still things that I feel like as a parent I could have done better. And, I have to just live with that and raise my children the way uh, that I feel they need to be raised, right? So I please, I'll be emailing you, Meg, and Kristen, and anyone else that wants to be a part of that. Please feel free to email me, and anybody that has any ideas that can make this program more robust. Please feel free to call or email me with any of those, so that we can put it into place and support our guys.
I think, to get back to Kristen's point, I think it would be even worse with a newborn, because you can't communicate with a newborn. You can't, you know what I mean? So much of the quote unquote communication that occurs between a mother and a newborn is nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
So and you can't do that. Gosh, that would
right.
just, wow, that would be awful.
Right. And dealing with that interaction, that the building of that foundational relationship within, those infant years, it's really tough. And it just, you bringing that up, Meg, and you expounding on that, Kristen, has really put that into the forefront of my mind as something that we need to address right now. Right now.
It says roughly between 5 and 10% of women enter prison and jail pregnant, and approximately 2,000 babies are born to incarcerated women annually.
Wow.
That's in the
Wow.
United States.
Wow.
That really puts things in a perspective.
There's a wonderful book, and I went to this to the author talking. She was born in prison, and she was in a state where her mother could keep her for the first 2 years in prison. So there was that bonding, and then she was needed to go out and live with a relative or whatever. But it's different states have different rules on how soon the child leaves, or so it is something. I don't know in Minnesota what the statistic is, but if there's 2,000 in the country, there's got to be a good number in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So
anyway, and we know it's there. We know we'll be dealing with it, right?
Right.
And
just
so
want to add more work for you, John.
Listen, anyone that knows me knows the work is the least of my problems. I love the work, and so that's going to be a welcome thing to do more work. But I want to respect everyone's time. Is there anything else pressing anyone wants to get to? If not, please. Is there anyone that doesn't have my phone number? Oh,
I
please,
don't have it, John, unless you put it in an email somewhere.
Any pressing issues, excuse me?
I don't have your phone number, John, unless it's on your email somewhere, which it might be. Oh, it is. I think I got it.
Who was that?
Will, I got it, John.
All right. I'll email it to you. The one on my email, I don't think that one, the one on my email signature, that's like an office one. I'll email you my personal one.
Okay, thanks,
so
John.
that you'll be able to communicate. Not a problem. And with that, Chuck, I'll definitely be in touch. It's College Football Saturday.
Oh, we'll be texting. I can guarantee that.
Absolutely, brother. With that, everyone have a great weekend. Please check out the LMS. I'll be watching. And give me a call with anything, and I'll be in touch soon. Expect emails.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you so
man.
much.
Thanks, John.
Absolutely.
Sounds
Take
Have a
care.
good.
great
Thank
one.
you.